Hi, and welcome back to The Last Word. Uh, week 3 action in the books. Uh, Great week, great set of games. Um, Only 43% this week on our picks. 50% or better is what we're aiming for. Really like 60%, 70%, 100%. But 43% this week. I talked myself out of my Steelers pick. Out of my Browns pick into a Steelers pick just off of coaching when in reality players matter. So first game of the week we got that one wrong. I talked all that about the Browns and then chose the Steelers off of Mike Tomlin alone. I don't know. So Browns won 29-17 that one. We also got the next one that we discussed wrong, Bills Dolphins, and to be fair, I only had like three home teams winning, so it definitely wasn't going to be I thought how I wasn't going to play out that way unless I was really accurate. But the favorite isn't always going to win, and I don't always try to choose the favorite. Obviously, you got to try to choose the best based on the matchup. But I don't know. So Bills Dolphins in this game I did choose the favorite. I thought the Bills would take it. The Dolphins really impressed me because of how they won the game. It wasn't a shootout. It was a low scoring game, which makes me think maybe the Dolphins defense is a little better than we thought, or the Bills offense. The Bills offense is not may not be like well no, the Bills offense has proven to be a juggernaut, but maybe the Dolphins defense is a little better than we thought. Depends though. There was some bad throws by Josh throughout the game. That's just like, well, what are you doing? So it kind of goes back to last season for him. Not necessarily the same because he is progressing, but last year there were some high highs and some low lows. This isn't a low low; it's a medium kind of low. It's not a valley compared to where his high was, but it just wasn't a dominating performance that we were accustomed to seeing from these guys. So great game by the Dolphins. Dolphins beat these guys 21-19. Great show out by Tua, who, we thought he was dead, and he came right back. So now they're going to investigate what happened to him. The NFLPA is going to investigate like how he was able to come back in the game. Him and his team were saying it was a lower back injury, not a concussion, so they didn't have to follow less necessarily concussion protocols and keep him out of the game. So um, we'll see. But great game by the Dolphins. Great win. The Dolphins actually play the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. To go with a preemptive pick, I think we're going to go Dolphins on that one. Right? They have the best offense in the league right now. The Bengals are struggling, and they don't have a great offensive line. So we're going to go with the Dolphins tomorrow. But next game is Bengals Jets. This one we actually got right. It's hard to get it wrong when you're picking against the Jets. The Bengals beat the Jets 27-12. This one was a good showing between like Sauce Gardner and Jamar Chase. Sauce Gardner may have shown the league how to kind of deal with him when you have a one-on-one situation, but Sauce Gardner is much taller than him and much longer than him. So if he could just be physical and just maintain his position with that length and that size, it would make it difficult on anyone, much less Jamar Chase. So Bengals did a great job winning this one, 27-12, double-digit win. The Jets couldn't muster much offense, 12 points, so not great, Joe Flacco. Another game that I got wrong, Raiders-Titans. Titans lost 22-24. Raiders lost 22-24. Titans won. I didn't pick the Titans just because Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry is just the only two things that the Titans have, and really just Derrick Henry. And the Raiders have so much more than them. They have on offense at least, but their defensive line couldn't contain Henry early. They let him just pound them into the submission and into the dirt. And the Raiders are 0-3. And Devontae Adams isn't happy. Carr can't be happy. McDaniels can't be happy. And like I said in my last video, McDaniels and Carr are going to be under fire. Have to be. You have to be. Now look at Devontae Adams' public statements about being frustrated and angry with this 0-3 start. Josh McDaniels may not ever get another coaching job again after this. It might be really over for him. Like, so, I guess we'll see. But, Titans take it 24-22. Great job by them. They needed to win. This was a battle of the 0-2 teams. The Titans, I think, are still going to struggle for the rest of the season. If they don't get out to a good start with that running game, there's nothing else they could do. I mean, it's all about scheme though when it comes to them. So when you're expecting them to come into the game running, they start with some play actions and loosen you up. So it's all about scheme. So if you got to be prepared for either the play action or the run, like literally, that's what you need to be ready for when you're playing against the Titans. You don't need to be ready for the deep ball. You need to be ready for the play action or the run. Um, on the play, if you have play action, have a couple. If you worried about the play action, I would say have a couple people drop forward and a couple people play back. Same thing with the run. Like you just play both of those the same. A couple people come forward to potentially stop the run, a people go back to potentially stop the play action over your head. So you're trying to account for both situations with one defense, and you could most likely stop the Titans, in my opinion. Um, Next game, Saints Panthers. Panthers won this game. Another game we got wrong. I didn't believe in Baker. Thought the Saints defense would pose problems. Baker looked awful in this game. Maybe the worst I've ever seen him. He looked completely awful. He had 44 yards through 3 quarters. If he didn't have one long play to the running back where they running back at a lot of yards after catch, Baker would have. First of all, they probably would have lost the game without the running back doing that, and Baker just looked awful before that. So like he can't get any props for their win or his performance at all. They won in spite of Baker. Um, the Saints had 14 points. Jameis doesn't look great. Um, I thought that they would be able to put more things together, especially with Michael Thomas coming back. You have Alvin Kamara. Like Drew Brees was able to get things done just by throwing it to those two. So you might as well do the same thing, bro. Like it's not rocket science. Get the job done, Jameis. 22-14 to Baker Mayfield and the 0-2 Panthers. Really, Jameis? So come on, that's really disappointing. Either way, next game, Patriots Ravens. This one we got right. It's hard to bet against Lamar. It's difficult to bet against him. It's a contract year. He's showing out. 37-26. Ravens over Patriots. Matt got hurt. He might miss a couple games. Listen, the Patriots are doing him a disservice. It's like almost like a Daniel Jones situation where he's competent, he has the talent, he just needs the stability and the structure. And what they're doing to Mac Jones is just not providing him with that stability and that structure with that offensive coordinator situation, in my opinion. But Bill Belichick might not necessarily need that, but Mac Jones might. It's not all about what Bill Belichick wants and how he needs to do things. It's also about how Mac Jones needs to do things. But if Bill Belichick could turn Tom Brady into what Tom Brady was, then Bill Belichick should be able to turn Mac Jones into something. But it wasn't just Bill Belichick, it was also Josh McDaniels. So we'll see how Mac ends up shaping up. But 37-26 to the Ravens, like I said, and great game overall by those guys. Their defense still needs some work, though. Next game, Lions, Vikings. I really thought the Lions would take this one. I was really hoping that they would because they're such a feisty and frisky team. They just couldn't make enough plays throughout the game to top the Vikings. The Vikings made more plays than them. Um, Justin Jefferson didn't show out by any means, but the Vikings were still able to take the game. The Lions just needed a little bit more, and they would have won this one. So tough loss, but I think they can bounce back next game. Not sure who they play yet, but they may bounce back next game depending on who they play. But they lost this one 28-24 to the Vikings. Great job by Kirk Cousins to go out there and get that win. I think it was like a last second tutty um, to Cook. If it wasn't Cook, it was like a last second tutty to someone else. Um, but great job by the Vikings, 28-24, like I said. Next game is Eagles Commanders. This is one we actually got right. It's hard to bet against the Eagles right now, and it's hard to root for the Carson Wentz at all ever since he left Philly. Ever since Nick Foles took his job, it was just like, man, come on. So 24-8 Eagles. Eagles looked phenomenal throughout the whole game. The Commanders are going to struggle for the whole season with that offensive line. Wentz was never in a situation where he wasn't taking sacks. He's going to take sacks. He's going to be inaccurate for periods of the game. He's going to take his inaccurate break. So that happened in this game as well. He started the game on the break. So it was like, wow, great. Eagles 24, Commanders 8. Great job by the Eagles. Next game is Chiefs Colts. Another one we got wrong. Just did not expect the Chiefs to just play that way. I really didn't expect them to kind of like you. There's no you aren't that the Chiefs aren't that good to overlook any opponent. Like you can't still have that so that same swagger when you haven't been to the you weren't in the Super Bowl last year and you haven't been winning in a way where it's like, oh, well, I should have all of this like swagger and overconfidence. Like confidence is a great thing, but don't overlook an NFL team on any given week. Out here doing fake field goals. You're out here missing field goals. You're out here just you're not taking it seriously enough. It's not time to be cute in the beginning of the season. Maybe you could be cute midway through after you've already stacked up some wins and now you're playing like I don't know, like the lion not the Lions, but like the Texans or something or a bad team mid-season and you want to throw some stuff in there. But right now you need to be, stacking up your wins. But hey, I don't think the Chiefs are going to struggle. I think that this was a one-off from the Colts. They just got a game and they needed one and they got one. The Chiefs, this is a disappointing loss, especially for me on the defensive end. I just kept on seeing first down after first down after first down. Like, when were you guys going to get the Colts off of the field? I expected a lot more from the Chiefs defense, as you see in my last video. I was praising the Chiefs defense. I think that they have a sleeper defense, but in that game, I don't know what the game plan was. They couldn't stop the Colts. I mean, on that final drive when they needed to get a stop, Matt Ryan was just hitting first down after first down. So disappointing. I think Patrick did his thing. He just, it just does start and stop with him, like he said in his post game presser. It starts and stops with him. He has to generate more points. If he needs to use his legs more, if he needs to throw guys open or whatever he needs to do, it starts and stops with Patrick. He can't have 17 points, Patrick, at all. So next game we actually got right. Bears Texans. We just ended up. I can't even say this was. Oh, I knew. No, the Bears. I think the Bears are struggling. Really, they won by 3, but they're facing the Texans, who are getting their bearings as a team and establishing more and more of a culture. The Texans are scoring points. That's the thing. The Texans have not been shut out. They've scored at least 20 points in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, every game this season. And they're not awful. They're just getting there, and they're still a bad team though because they're losing to bad teams like the Bears, who their quarterback isn't even playing well, but he's just better than Davis Mills. So the Bears end up taking this one. Good win, fellas. Keep on rolling. That's the thing. You keep getting wins and keep on building a little bit of confidence here and there. You'll be okay. I don't know who these guys play next, but we'll get into the week 4 picks later on. But great job by the Bears. Another game I got wrong here. I should have chosen the Jaguars, but it's Jaguars Chargers. Jaguars end up taking this one 38-10. I said the Chargers are gonna win, and they got beat 38-10. That Jaguars defense is serious. Now I see why they held the Colts to 0. That's a serious defense over there. Holding the Chargers to 10, serious work. Even though the Chargers are undermanned and they don't really have much receivers, for the Jaguars to hold them to 10 points is really impressive. I mean, you're the Jaguars. You would expect more of a barn burner against the Chargers if they have less receivers. You just kind of even the playing field, but the Jaguars are clearly, you know, on a different tier than the Chargers, at least from the first game. As the season goes on, if they play again, it'll be a different matchup. More, you know what to expect, and obviously have a better scheme for the Jaguars. But great win, 38-10. Great win. I think the Jaguars are dangerous this year. We'll see who they play next week. Next game, we actually got correct. Rams versus Cardinals. That was pretty easy to pick. I just don't think the Cardinals have enough offense to really win much games against even a significant defense, like a stout defense or just a defense with stars on it. Cardinals don't have any offensive weapons to put up enough points. Now, the Rams weren't facing a great defense, and they didn't put up too many points. They didn't put up enough points, in my opinion. 20 points against the Cardinals isn't enough. You should have beaten them. You should have scored at least closer to 30 points, at least one more touchdown on here. I feel like the Rams should have gotten. So their offense is a little rocky to me right now. I don't know how often they're going to really be able to get the ball to Cooper Kupp every single game again. after people have seen it already with him and Matthew Stafford, and now you could kind of scheme for it. But they're a great duo, so it's not like you're going to be able to contain them every game. But I just think that the Rams should have scored more against these Cardinals. The Cardinals defense isn't good, so 20-12 win isn't impressive, but the Rams got the dub, so we'll take it. But I think the Rams, we'll see when they face better opponents what they actually look like. Um, so we'll see. Next game also got this wrong. It's crazy. Like Mahomes lost, Brady lost, um, Josh Allen lost in the same week. Picked all three of those quarterbacks, they all lost. Crazy. Packers, Bucks, this next one. Packers win it 14-12. I said that I thought that the Packers wouldn't be on the field for long, that the Buccaneers defense would give Tom Brady the ball and he would be on the field a lot. Tom Brady's offense was awful. He couldn't stay on the field at all until the last drive did he even get a touchdown. So the Bucs offense was struggling like crazy. Their defense at first drive, Aaron Rodgers walked down. He walked them down, back to the end zone. No problem. But then after that, they scored again. The Packers scored again, and then once the Packers fumbled in the end zone, they didn't score again for the rest of the game. But the Bucs offense couldn't do anything. Imagine that the Bucs offense couldn't do anything until the final drive of the game, and then they messed up on a 2-point conversion. So great win by the Packers, I would have to say. It wasn't a great showing. It was a very ugly game, but to get that win at this point in the season is nice. It's a nice win for everybody in the Packers organization, especially the rookies. To see like a grinded out tough game, we're able to win those. That's a great morale boost for any team. So great win by the Packers. Next game we actually got right. Falcons, Seahawks. This one wasn't hard to pick. I mean, the Seahawks, I just didn't think they'd be able to generate enough offense, even though it's the battle of two kind of bottom feeders. The Falcons, I just thought had so much fight in them in all of their games that I just thought that they would beat the Seahawks, and ended up proving out. I mean, Mariota is not good at all, but neither is Geno Smith. So the Seahawks have to constantly scheme up things for Geno Smith, and obviously for the Falcons as well. They have to scheme up for Mariota. But I just think the Falcons have more weapons on offense, which is why they're able to at least put up 27 points on a decent Seahawks defense. Not great by any means, but decent enough where you're not just throwing points on them. And the Falcons were able to throw up 27. So I think the Falcons, once they get a quarterback, they'll have a really good offense going into the future. They'll have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and whoever this young quarterback is, that'll have them like really good on offense. Now, the Falcons need to lose some games here if they're really going to be in the quarterback competition. So they can't, we're going to see what the rest of the Falcons schedule looks like, but they need to lose some games. All right. Next game is 49ers Broncos. Another one we got wrong. I just don't know why I didn't bet and pick the better of the quarterbacks, because at the end of this ugly game, it came down to the quarterback. Who was going to be able to make a play? And the better quarterback made it. The worst quarterback stepped out on a safety and threw a pick six. Really, it was like, wow, we're in clown world now. There's some clown shit. But okay, we'll see. And then people want to say Jimmy didn't have the playbook and all that. Like, yo, the playbook don't matter in terms of your positioning on the field. You got to know before you snap the ball where you are. You got to know how many steps back you could take. Like, but practice matters. Yeah, they didn't have him with the playbook, but the situational football is what he wasn't allowed to practice either, because he was by himself throwing the ball to the trainers. Trey Lance was getting a situation where, okay, we're on a goal line, on our own goal line, and here's what we're trying to do, make sure it is. So Trey Lance got that rep that Jimmy G needed in that situation. Trey Lance had gotten it most likely. So Jimmy G hadn't been in that situation all year, all summer, all anything. So he's not thinking the way that a veteran quarterback should be thinking about his position on the field. So it's just not a great look for him overall. Broncos end up taking it 11-10. Great win by those guys. They needed it. They're like 2-1. So even with the struggling head coach, the struggling offense, and bad clock management, the Broncos are 2-1. And we'll just have to see how the rest of their schedule shapes up to even see, what they could potentially be. So last game from this week was Cowboys Giants. Another one, we ended up getting this one right. I love the Giants, and that's my team. But I'm objectively, I wanted the Giants to win, but I objectively, saw that the Cowboys defense would be too much for the Giants, and I didn't think that the Giants had a legitimate chance to win this game though, but I didn't expect their offensive line to be as bad as it was. If the offensive line was just held up for maybe like 5 to 10 more plays, we probably would have won. The Giants probably would have won this game. Um, it was really that nip and tuck, that close. And if Stills doesn't fall down on the last play, Daniel Jones doesn't even have an interception. He didn't make a bad throw. I can't say Daniel Jones made a bad throw all day. Um, he was really accurate. He was really aware. He was holding the ball and aware of who was around him, stepping up in the pocket. Daniel Jones was really impressive to me. During that game, all of that pressure that he was seeing, he was reading it. He never had a free rusher come in and get him. Never, not for the whole game. Kyler Murray can't say that, and damn sure Justin Fields can't say that. But Kyler Murray can't even say that. Like Kyler Murray got free rushes coming at him like he just did a deer in headlights. Daniel Jones, none of that. So they even had chip blocking. Like great job by the Giants, but great win by the Cowboys. Cooper Rush looks like a stud. Not like a superstar or a special, but a stud, meaning to me, a stud meaning like, yo, he's competent. That man can make any throw. He looked like he can make any throw. He doesn't look amazing. He looks competent. Like he can make any throw. And it's really impressive to see. Um, he looks more comfortable in the offense than Dak to me. Like he just looks more sure of his throws and sure of his reads. When Dak is like going through his progressions, to me he just looks unsure. And then I don't know how Dak's belief in his teammates is the same as Cooper Rush, because Cooper Rush will just he's throwing it and he's like these guys are catching things that they might not ever catch under Dak. Like I saw I saw CD Lamb catch a fourth down pass. I think it was a third or fourth down that they needed, and he got hammered as soon as he get caught, bang, and he still held on to it. I just feel like Dak might not even have thrown that ball to CD because he just wouldn't have been. He would just thought it was just too close of a bang bang play, and he would have tried to do something else and thrown an incompletion. So, great job by Cooper Rush. Great leadership on the field, and the guys are really responding to his leadership and his ability to throw the ball. So, really impressed with the Cowboys. Really impressed with the Giants. Cowboys defense was the pressure was there. 4-man rush pressure was there. Great job on that. Um, but yeah, 23-16 Cowboys. Great win, you guys. But that's all of the games for this week. Tomorrow's game, like I said, is Dolphins versus Bengals, and I do have the Dolphins winning this one. Their offense is just too prolific, and I think the Bengals are still kind of struggling with their offense a little bit. They beat the Jets handily, but the Dolphins aren't the Jets, and they're going to have to be able to stop the Dolphins. So we'll see. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.